Hello, welcome everyone. Thank you. We're going to kick off in a couple of minutes. I can't see anyone from up here. The light is very bright. So I do like to tend to see everyone so I can get a feel for how we're going. Is there a chance we can turn that down a bit? It's so bright. So we'll get into acknowledgement of country. So I'll just make sure the guys have got the... I'll begin by acknowledging the traditional custodians of the land on which we gather here today and pay my respects to their elders past and present. I extend that respect to Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples here today. Okay, I don't like these clickers. So, Construction Connect, who are we? At Construction Connect, our mission is to equip the building and construction industry with the knowledge, skills and connections essential for moving forward and embracing change. By uniting experts, innovators and thought leaders, we are cultivating a dynamic ecosystem that inspires individuals from diverse backgrounds and disciplines to achieve new heights together. We believe that collaboration and exchange of ideas within a supportive environment are pivotal for advancing the construction industry and embracing change. So, I'd like to, that went a bit slow, that was meant to go first. I'd like to give a big thank you to our sponsors here today. So we've got FATRA, in no particular order, FATRA, the Victorian Building Authority, so we'll be hearing from them, which is great. Dinsel Structural Walling, Tremco Construction Products Group, ACRA, Penetron, SICA, FOSROC, the Australian Institute of Waterproofing, Waterproofing Integrity, Industry Best Construction, the Construction Advisor, Silco, Filigage and Pasco. So within that list, there's a collective bunch of manufacturers, industry consultants and associations. So that's what we're attempting to do with these seminars, is to tie the industry together and improve change collectively. So we're going to kick this off. We'll meet our speakers. So we've got Stan Juris, David Previty and myself, Byron Landiu. So we as a collective come up with the ideas for these seminars. Was out the back of COVID because there wasn't much happening. So we'd like to give you a big welcome and give yourselves a round of applause for taking the time to get here today. And then we're lucky enough we'll all be delivering a presentation, and then we're lucky enough and grateful enough to have Anna Cronin, the Commissioner and CEO of the Victorian Building Authority, Ross Taylor, who's the CEO of Ross Taylor and Associates. He's flown down from Sydney for the event, likewise with Stan and David. And Dr. Tim Moore, PhD, Technical Lead and Building Sciences at RIC. So we'll hear more about them individually moving forward. So what are we going to cover today? So we've got a bit of housekeeping first off. So I'll put that little logo in there because I forget to do housekeeping, and Natalie, who is the lovely lady at the front desk, told me off like my mum that you never do your housekeeping, so make sure you do your housekeeping. So we've got the toilets just out there to the left-hand side. Security notified me that we may hear an alarm at around 10 o'clock, an evacuation alarm. It's just a drill, so we don't need to get up and get into panic. Okay, so we're all good. That'll be happening around 10 o'clock. That's basically all you need to know at this point. Okay, if there is a fire, they'll come and get us. And we met out in the foyer and then head out the front door. It's pretty simple really. We'll stay nice and calm. First presenter will be Anna Cronin from the VBA, presenting on the direction of the VBA. Then we'll be running through with Ross Taylor's presentation on the design principles, David Previty on NCC 2025 changes. Then we'll be using the colloquial term of smoko after that, where we'll have a 25-minute break. That'll be roughly at around 10 to 11. So prior to smoko, we're going to actually have the first three speakers up on stage to have a Q&A. So Stan and I will be roving some mics around so you can ask some questions about the information that's been provided. So moving forward after there, we'll be having our one of our sponsors come up to give a presentation on their structural walling from Dinsal. Stan Juris will be popping up talking about good building practices. So we use the term good. We hear about best practice, all of this term best. It's quite hard to achieve best and tick all of the boxes, particularly when we're talking about costing of build as well. So good practices, if designed efficiently, are generally going to be suitable. Best is obviously the highest level of performance, and we want to strive to get there, but it's not always achievable. Then I'll be having an interactive panel. I finished my presentation at 9 o'clock last night, so a little bit of it is going to be improv. But I'll be having all of the other presenters come up on stage and join me, and we're going to run through 7 essential stages to achieve waterproofing success. Should be fun. Then we're going to go for lunch. That'll be roughly around 1 o'clock. ACRA will be doing a presentation, so First Industry Association, and then we'll have Tim Law. You do not want to miss that, I can guarantee you right now. That is action-packed on condensation and mould and moisture and water management in buildings. And then we'll be finishing off with a presentation of the Australian Institute of Waterproofing. That'll be around 3 o'clock, and we already know that by 3 o'clock you're going to be needing a scotch or a tequila shot or something at that level because it's information overload. So, who am I? My name is Byron Landiu, okay? And some of you may have seen me bombing your social media channels, okay, sporting my luscious locks and telling you that I'm going to help you become the best in your industry. So, that is my goal. One of them anyway, is to help improve the industry. So I thought I'd talk a little bit about my journey and how I got here to this particular position now. And I started off on the tools, okay, as a tiler and waterproofer. I learnt the same way that predominantly most people did in that era, and probably still today, so I'm 46. I learnt, didn't really like school, got onto the tools, and then it was easy, no entry requirements to get on site, practice, learn from other people. I like the hard work, I like the physicality and delivering good outcomes, and learning from our peers and product manufacturers. So you can see on the left hand side I was screening and then waterproofing. Can't see a tiling picture, but just take my word it was. One of the most common phrases I've heard is I've been doing this for 30 years and never had a failure. That phrase comes from Bob the Builder. Who in the audience has heard someone say that phrase? Put your hand up. Who in the industry is going to be honest enough to say that they have had a failure on one of their jobs? And what I find is that most of the time it surprises us because we thought we were doing the right thing and we weren't. So it wasn't until I got into teaching at trade school at was NMIT, now Melbourne Polytechnic, that I was first introduced to the standards properly. I used to use on my compliance certificates waterproofing work done in accordance with AS 3740. I used to think I wrote about it on a napkin sometimes. I think that still happens now. And also, or AS 4654. But then I got into teaching Certificate 3 at trade school. Still, I think Victoria leads the way in terms of the Cert 3 training around Australia. And I first started to realise how many mistakes I was technically making without realising. I'm going a bit over here, so I'm going to have to speed it up. I first got hung out to dry and realised how many failures I had when I was teaching for master builders in Victoria. So I was delivering some training in Geelong. I had 10 builders rock up to this particular course. One of the guys said to me, "Why are you teaching waterproofing? I had 7 of your bathrooms fail." This is starting the session. So I was like, shit, the heat's on a bit here. How am I going to navigate this one? So rather than reacting negatively, I knew why they failed, because I thought back to the processes that we were using when we were building, and there was no shower perimeter water stops, there was directional fall in the substrate. So we went through the session and we identified what went wrong as a group collectively. So we turned a negative into a positive, and we all learned from the process. And after that, they said, well, this guy's actually got a clue. So I do a lot of training and consulting. That's what I focus on. I like the training and the education, because we need to improve education as an industry. I'd love it to see us to get to national trade licensing, okay, not just trade reg and licensing in Victoria, a national model that verifies people's skills. We understand who's doing what on the job and what right they have there to be there. Through all the consulting and education that I've conducted over the years, most of the reports that I write, expert reports, go to VCAT or are for the homeowner. The physical results are alarming. You're going to hear what the statistics are. And we're going to, sometimes we forget about the why we do what we do in the construction industry, but the results, hopefully this plays when I click, are alarming. And here's so we've got Tamara Briggs, you can see up there, she's in the audience today. We're grateful enough to have her and Kerry Auld come up on stage and talk about their experiences, horrendous experiences they had with building. So I think the Great Australian Dream for most is the Great Australian Nightmare now. So we're going to watch a video here. Greg, help me out there, mate.